Yeah, Mike took a couple of bangs last week actually, and he's been sore all week, so he's probably got back into somewhere near full training today, although we didn't go flat out. So he hasn't really been available to us this week. By the Saturday, he'd probably be touch and go. So that was part of the equation with Mike's injury and Toby playing very well. I think I've said all the way through with our squad. I think the same with a couple of the other selections. We've just got options there in terms of what we want from a player, and same with picking Tom ahead of Courtney, picking Nick ahead of James, who's particularly unlucky not to start. But I think, as we talked about after the game last week, this thing's far more a 22-man effort on the day than it ever has been. And we've got a strong bench, and we're going to need them for this match. We feel that's the way we wanted to go, 5-2. Obviously, Dellen's not available, and it's a chance for Mark to come and play. So, we're picking the team as always, the best team we think for this week.
How big a call was that to play Rugby Snap? I know they do it like that from their club days, but to do it in a World Cup quarter-final, Martin, some will say this is a massive gamble.
No, it's not a gamble. It's you always put a lot of thought into your selections, no more so than when you're in a World Cup quarter-final. So it's one of the options we've got. I think Mike and Manu have played well together. If we had to play Chantain, we could play. There's always an argument to play him. It does give us some different things that we can do on the field when you play those guys, as it does when you play a Chantain or a Matt Banahan. So I think that's where we are with the squad in terms of players you can pick. There's always an argument to pick Simon Shaw and what he will do versus Lewis. So we've made the best selection in our mind, now with the information we've got in terms of what we want to do on Saturday. I wouldn't say agonise. It's a tough call. When you leave guys out, particularly guys like Mike, and I think James is also, I've said in front of the team that it's a particularly hard call on James, and he didn't deserve it in terms of how he's played. But they will have a massive influence on the game. I've said this before, the guys on the bench are normally on the field at the end. We had the guys on the field at the end last week when we won the game. So everyone wants to start, we all know that, but actually your role is no less coming off the bench, and we've generally been pretty proactive with those guys, and they're not 5-10 minute picks. They're normally on for 25, 30, some of them. So we've got to pick our time and keep the tempo in this game, because that's what we need to do.
Do you buy into these stories about Bristol Ray and the French camp?
Well, I don't buy into the stories of the crisis in our camp, but so no, I think when you get to these games, you're dealing with a team with a huge amount of pride as individuals, because you don't become a good player without that. They've got pride in their team and country as we do in ours, so they'll come and play without a doubt. You watch the Tonga game, there's times when they're a missed pass, a drop ball away from breaking open, and games can change very quickly on that. They are key moments in matches, so they are very, very dangerous. No more so when they're written off, when they haven't got anything to lose. I think you've seen that 99 and 07 when they beat New Zealand, they're actually at the point where they didn't have anything to lose. They were behind in the game, and they've gone for it, and we know what happened. So we can only control ourselves at this point. We've got to get tempo into the game. We didn't do that last week. We let Scotland get the initiative early on. We're 12-3 down and came back to win it. Won the second half 13-3, but we really need to just be that little bit better in the first 20 minutes and give ourselves a platform to go on from instead of fighting back from. Yeah, Nick's missed a few games with injury. We felt it was right James to start last week. He brings us a lot of experience there in that specialist position at number 8, and a good degree of sort of game control as well. So it's one of the toughest calls on a guy like James, because I think he's played very well for us. We've asked him to play 7. He did that brilliantly in the Championship. We've asked him to play 8, and he's done that very well at short notice at times. Dublin was short notice. So it was a tough call on him. We just think Nick's the right guy to start, and James on the bench. Same with Tom. He's got a huge work rate. He's probably a player that's a little bit less visible than some, but does a huge amount of good work for us. Courtney played pretty well last week in terms of what Courtney does, so bringing that off the bench is a big plus for us. We're same with Shawsey. So it's do or die, isn't it? World Cup quarter final, you've got to start big, and there's no holding yourself back for anything. So, we've got 5 forwards on the bench. It's going to be that type of game, I think. And we've got a chance to impact the game, I think, and change its course in the second half with those substitutions. If we get the chance to do that, then.